Well, as the core team lead, my role has been really significant in the aspect of finding partnerships within the community and letting them know what's going on and what's happening, what our goals are, and what we're trying to accomplish. So it's been very interesting to get out there and see how many people really support what we're doing and why it's necessary and needed within the community. When it comes to childcare, surprisingly, a big concern is finding qualified help. And you want to find people who are passionate about children. So you can get a high turnover when you have people come through the door who are just looking for employment, and then they find out it's not a suitable fit. For us, we're looking for those people who are dedicated and committed to childcare and well-being and their total development. So when it comes to child eating, child play, child care, we are looking for that entity. So that's the challenging part, to find the right fits. One of the reasons and one of the things that the strategic supply planning committee helped us do was first of all identify the need. I didn't know that there was over 2,000 slots necessary for the Racine County, that there's working parents that need places for their children. So having that knowledge gave us confidence in going forward to say that we can expand and be successful. So without that planning process, it was always a lot of doubt as to should we invest in this emotionally, spiritually, financially, or not. And that process really helped us identify that this is something that's really needed. And then we got to learn on the other side that it's very much supported throughout the community.
I think that it has been a process of getting all of the right people in the room. People who maybe wouldn't normally think about themselves as child care experts or leaders, but people who all have a vested interest in improving Waupaca's child care industry and sector. So I think that having somebody act as that facilitator and that connector was the role that I played as the core team lead. So by having all of these different kinds of organizations around the table, I think it was really interesting to see the ways that childcare was having an impact, maybe even in areas that we didn't anticipate, and learning about the nuances of the issue from perspectives we had never considered. It was actually interesting in a lot of ways. It was the first time that childcare providers and their employees and their directors were on the table with major area employers. So we're able to talk about the challenges that existed around issues of shift work, something that we had not really realized was even a problem. And so through all of these conversations, we were able to identify areas where we were maybe successful, but a lot of areas where we didn't even know that we were falling short, and then able to address those gaps from the perspectives of stakeholders across the spectrum of care. The issue of worker wages for childcare workers, the issue of affordability for parents and access for parents, and then issues of what time do providers actually serve their clients, and how do we make that work for shift workers? So I think that collaboration is something that the city of Waupaca does really well. It's baked into our DNA here. And we were really excited when we learned that the city of Waupaca was not the only one to receive a Dream Up grant in the area. Waupaca County also received a Dream Up grant. Having that close proximity to that other partner allowed us to magnify the impact of our awards and think more broadly about what are the needs of childcare in our community and in our county. Of course, the issues of childcare don't just end at the boundaries of our zip code. And so we knew that if we were able to work together, we could solve issues that transcended jurisdictional boundaries to create a bigger impact. So examples of that include pooling resources during the implementation process to get activities done that we could not have done independently, and then bringing stakeholders together that have resources to develop sustainable solutions and policy solutions that would impact not just the city, but also the county. So the problems facing childcare in our community, and I think more broadly, are really tremendous, and they're multifaceted. There's issues kind of at every level. There's issues At the level of staff. Simply put, childcare workers are not getting paid enough, and that's leading to a lot of retention problems. We tried to stop the bleed by providing some temporary one-time bonuses to staff. We know that those bonuses on a one-time basis are not enough, but it does demonstrate that we know that this is an issue and we're listening as we're looking for more sustainable solutions. We also know that facilities are a problem. And so we are looking at not only enhancing the existing facilities, but looking at other sites in the community that could be expanded, that could become reused to support childcare that are currently underutilized sites. We provided micro grants to providers who exist currently to invest in their properties. We also provided funds for people who are interested in starting a facility to get off the ground. We were really happy to see that the conversations we were having as part of our strategic supply building process did not just fall on deaf ears. A lot of people in our community became aware that childcare was an issue that transcended everyone. It wasn't just a problem for parents, it wasn't just a problem for workers. And so a lot of community organizations in our city asked themselves, well, what can we do? And so we were very pleased when the Lakes, Victory Church, and Trinity Tiny Treasures, all of which are churches in our community, took it upon themselves to open childcare facilities on site. We were able to support that work with grants of, I believe, $2,500 or $3,000 to purchase some equipment and supplies to get them off the ground. One of the things that we're most excited about is that we knew that this problem wouldn't be solved with a one-time award of $75,000, although it really catalyzed a lot of efforts. We invested in additional research to help better understand what the problems are and how to solve them long-term. And we're already applying that research by trying to open new facilities with targets that were set, capacity targets that were set as a result of that research. So I think that the impact of the strategic planning process on our community was in some ways twofold. One was the direct investment that we were able to provide through the grant. But I think the secondary one that maybe actually was as important was the fact that we were having conversations throughout our community because of the strategic planning process. So people, our major area employers, our city councilors, our administrators, we're all talking with everybody about, hey, this is a real need in our community and how do we address this? And we were really happy to learn that a lot of people were taking those conversations very seriously and asking themselves, well, what resources do we have that we can access to help solve this problem? We're very fortunate that there were a couple of churches, the Lakes, Victory Church, and Trinity Tiny Treasures here in Waupaca, that had the opportunity to start childcare facilities on their sites and have done that and opened within the last year. We were able to provide all of those facilities with grants to help get them off the ground. And because of that, I would imagine we have added probably as many as 40 new childcare slots to the city of Waupaca within the last year. So I think that one of the most important things that the strategic supply planning process did for us was it created conversations that have continued even after our grant dollars have been spent. Those conversations, in fact, are really only just getting started. We are collaborating very closely with the County of Waupaca and also major employers inside and outside of the city to evaluate opportunities to add new capacity by taking advantage of structures that are being underutilized in our community and transitioning those into centers that could be used for childcare. We're also having a lot of conversations currently right now with our community foundation about how we can support the staffing equation. We know that we could build facilities all day long, but these facilities only work when we have quality and well-compensated childcare staff working in them, and we want to make sure that those people are invested in and feel valued. And so we're trying to figure out how can we get additional supports and resources to childcare staff, which make this whole thing work. So we're taking basically a two-pronged approach. We know we need to add facilities, and we know we need to support staff. And those conversations about how to do that are in an exciting but pretty early phase. And we know that they're going to require a lot of investment, but we have a lot of players at the table. Well, I think this whole thing started with First Children's Finance. We wouldn't be here without them. They're the reason why all of these stakeholders gathered and why we're able to collaborate on what the future of childcare could look like in Waupaca County and in the city of Waupaca. I think that people prior to this process were maybe vaguely aware that this was a problem. You know, maybe they had children themselves, or maybe they had grandchildren that were struggling, you know, to find care. It was expensive, but they didn't feel directly impacted. Because of this process, we know that everybody's impacted, either directly or indirectly. And we know that there are a lot of nuances involved to solve this problem, and we become invested in that. So we have a lot of gratitude for First Children's Finance for catalyzing this whole process.
As a core team member, I really liked the strategic supply plan process because it was a great opportunity to network with different people that are in the industry in all of Racine and Racine County. I made really good relationships with RUSD, which is the school district here, and a lot of other just different daycares to be able to reach out to them and use each other and build from each other. So I think one of the biggest things that we kind of did as a team was the childcare symposium. We were able to reach out to a lot of different organizations in the area just to talk about the different, and just to kind of foster conversations about the different things that we can do to make childcare more available and more ready, and also to support the staff that works in the industry, because that's kind of where a lot of it comes from, is the industry and the people that are there. I think one of the biggest successes that we had from the Dream Up process is the networking. So is the ability to support other childcares, support each other, to have that communication, to know different things that are readily available in the area, and just to kind of build off of each other. So take some other centers' weaknesses and kind of learn from their mistakes, and vice versa. I think the Dream Up brought the community together in the aspect of it's not just a bunch of different centers and different things looking, it's the community is now looking, and everyone's trying to find ways to keep children out of trouble and to help parents get to work, and doing what we can to kind of help everybody.
So some of the projects that we are currently working on right now are, we have a micro grant program, and so the idea behind this program is that we give all our group daycare providers $3,000 and our family childcare providers $2,500 for the purpose of them being able to buy supplies or have projects within their facility that they need to get taken care of. Good example of this is people that want to have installed some playground equipment. We had some that wanted to do some sidewalk work, some fencing, some books. We had kitchen counters that they wanted. One other project that we're working on is a community wait list. The idea behind this project is to help us truly understand the real issue that we have. As it currently stands, a lot of families will have their children reserved or have them requesting to go into several different child care providers at the same time. So we don't know how many actual kids there are in the county that we are looking to find child care for. One of the other big projects we're also working on in terms of bringing on new talent is we have Inspire. It's called Inspire Waupaca. So this program is designed to work with our kids while they're still in school and to give them some outreach and give them some exposure to this field. And I can say already that we've had a lot of positive impacts on this. We had some middle schoolers that just recently went through one of our largest providers, and we had some middle schoolers already asking how they could potentially be a future child care provider. So that's very exciting for us. As a corollary to that project, we're also working with our local tech school, Fox Valley Technical College, with the hope that they are going to be bringing on some curriculum there to provide training. So instead of having our people coming from Opaka County having to go to the valley, to Appleton, to get trained for this, they can take care of this right in their backyard. So the hope being that we can address our people problem that we have in that way. One of the other really big projects that we're working on is to try to understand what and how the best way to bring in new employees to these centers, to try to understand directly from them what their pain points are. What is it that made them want to get either a different job, to try to go someplace else, and what would bring them into it? Is there something that we can provide that would make the So one of the really big projects that we're looking at that we're very excited about is referred to as a community fund. So the benefit of a community fund is really to show our workers that the entire community is willing to come together and to benefit and to understand that we all have a vested interest in quality childcare in our community. So what the community fund is, it's a fund where all sources of revenue can go into this fund, and then we'll have a transparent oversight board that will show how the monies from this fund gets disseminated out to all of our providers. So the idea behind it to begin with was that we know that hourly wages with our providers is a very serious issue. So what we would love to be able to do is provide a level of money for each of our workers to bring their hourly wage up to a level that we would hope that would help them stay in the position and also create the position to be a little bit more attractive to bring more people in. And so the community fund would have the money would then go to every one of our providers, whether it be a group provider or family provider. The idea being that rising tides lift all boats. And so this money goes out equally to everybody so the entire county can benefit from it. There are challenges, certainly, when it comes to some of our projects that we have. One of the biggest challenges that we have found so far is that each of our providers seem to have slightly different issues and needs. And so it's really hard for us to come up with a program that's going to benefit them all equally, because some providers, what they would really want to see is additional money. Or some providers would rather have more things. They're just starting out. So they need more infrastructure. They need more money for projects. Some of them don't have playground equipment set up, or they have outdated. And so they don't necessarily need money for hourly wages. One of the other things that we've heard quite often is that some people would go up against what's referred to as a benefit cliff. And so if we were to give them additional hourly wages, they would then end up losing benefits on the backside that they're receiving from the state. And so in the end, it turns out to be more of a detriment than it is a benefit. So one of the biggest successes that we have found as part of the Project Dream Up supply plan process has been really starting a narrative of just how important childcare is in our community. Having the conversation between all of our providers in the county and the city of Opaka working together so we have the ability to listen to them and we can respond to exactly what it is that they're asking for. I can say that I gave a presentation to the Manufacturers Alliance Group, and part of that presentation was hearing back from all of our manufacturers in the state of just how important childcare is becoming for them too. And I see that this is really representing quite the paradigm shift that we're seeing, because this wasn't an issue that we have noticed before, but now they're seeing that when it comes to being able to bring in the best talent into their company, they really need to make sure that their community has childcare slots available. And it's not just the quantity, it's also the quality of the childcare slots. And so as part of the narrative that we had, and also now that our manufacturers are on board with us, we have a very diverse group of people coming together trying to solve this problem together. So we were able to come together with some good goals for our strategic plan by including a very diverse group. And so the first thing we wanted was to get a very good cross-representation of our community. And so by having such a diverse group, we were able to look at childcare from many different angles. And so by using this group, we were able to come up with a lot of different creative ways to handle it. And not just one easy one, but several other ones.